The Invincible War has always been an anomaly in the grand story of Invincible to me. This story about people flying around and having super strength, this shouldn't be out of the ordinary, but something about it feels like it shouldn't work. But it just kind of does. And I think that's in part due to the Invincible War having absolutely perfect stakes at play.
Mark, look, I made a mistake.
One of the most discernible differences between a superhero show and a drama are the stakes at play. Invincible manages to handle making the consequences that Mark takes feel very impactful while affecting us on a ground level. Just like how I manage the consequences of begging your mom. Whenever films are being produced, the person in charge has to decide whether to go for large stakes or smaller scale stakes. The MCU goes for stakes that threaten the whole world or universe, putting the lives of billions in danger. While that sounds like a really smart idea, bigger number means bigger consequences. It is really hard to make each death feel more than a number. This inevitably leads to the show feeling too large, or the scale is too big and the countless possible deaths just kind of feel like decor. On the polar opposite, small stakes can make the effort the protagonist goes through feel almost pointless. Take a comedy like One Punch Man. The stakes in reality are absolutely massive, but Saitama doesn't really care much about the grand scale and merely cares for the small things. It works well in a comedy like One Punch Man, but if the next Avengers film's biggest threat was fighting over a supermarket closing, then it would feel very wrong tonally. Either way, Invincible manages to balance a perfect mix of a bunch of separate stakes simultaneously. This entire season of the show thematically is meant to show the break of Mark's morality. In season 1 of Invincible, Mark only sees in black and white, only good and bad, and this serves him until he's pinned against the reality of things, that people can be a little bit of both. When Omni-Man fights Mark, we see him really break because his philosophy is challenged, and he wants to believe his dad is still good, but that's just not true. Season 2 does even more to challenge these beliefs. His dad, who is now determined to be all bad, is now a hero for these bug people, so he's good? Or is he bad? Mark deals with this question pretty much the whole time, and this is where he starts developing a bit of a gauge for being gray. We saw in season 2 that Mark intended to kill Engstrom Levy, but due to some insane luck, Engstrom survived. Now, that wasn't something he intentionally did, it was just him flying off the rails, but he had to deal with this fall off in season 3. Now, Mark is meant to deal with the consequences of this, and on top of all that, Oliver is starting to show the cracks in Mark's philosophy. Oliver kills the Mauler twins, which is pretty fucked up, man. I like those characters. And this whole season targets deconstructing Mark's philosophy on what's good and bad even more than the previous seasons. And then as we approach the end of season 3, he's satisfied with being a great character and making choices that aren't perfect. Invincible really dabbles in the grays when it comes to their characters, which I'm clearly a large fan of. Either way, just know this season is really pushing Mark towards being a morally gray character, and upon the Invincible War starting, we get to see this in full effect. I think there are 4 really big stakes at play to push this episode forward. The most obvious one is the whole Invincible variants coming to conquer Earth thing. This is our biggest physical threat, and the one that the civilians will see and acts to drive the world as a whole. It is incredibly large scale, and again a difficult one to fully grasp, but it's here to push our heroes forward. Now, while the world doesn't get absolutely dominated, it is really beat, and we do lose characters. I think Rex dying is a consequence that really fits under the whole world domination thing, but isn't really something that is expected beforehand. It's not super implied due to the tone that Rex's character carries. He's more of a comic relief based character who is working on becoming a better person throughout the story, and it's quite jarring when he sacrifices himself to take down Mark. Admittedly, you can figure it out pretty soon if you see him tell other people to run, but that's aside from the point, you know. Our second major stake is Invincible's reputation. This is something you kinda need to consider in retrospect, but this is a guaranteed loss for Mark. People are going to view him in a worse light no matter what he did. This is one of the smaller effects during the attack, and definitely not immediate, and it's something that's going to just be a long-term effect, and probably the largest and longest lasting one because of the fact that Mark's other variants were defeated. I know that kind of contradicts what I just said about it being smaller, but it's smaller during the attack. It's not something that's immediate. Because these other stakes never came to fruition, Mark never had a chance to deal with them, and on top of this, Mark's reputation as Invincible is already in the dumps. Powerplex already gave Mark a peek at what some people think of him, and this only compounds it. I'm toast, man, bro. Arguably one of the most impactful stakes are Adam Eve. She gets injured while fighting an Invincible variant, and a lot of people take issue with the fact that Mark stays with her rather than going to fight the other variants. Hell, even Cecil calls him out on this, but I'm gonna kind of side with Mark here. He should back up Eve. He knows Engstrom is going after making him hurt, so the obvious place to go would be Eve. Could he have gone out and fought the other Invincible variants? Yes. Would it have kept Eve safe? Probably. We see Engstrom went for Debbie first either way, but from Mark's perspective, this makes perfect sense. Now from a plot perspective, it makes sense to have this as a major consequence and force Mark further into being a Cray character, the whole theme of this season. He has to make a decision that is looked down upon by the audience rather than the world itself. This is also a smaller stake. Imagine if Eve died, that it would be a massive blow, not just to Mark, but to the audience, just like Rex dying. Finally, Debbie is a massive stake that exists in this episode. She's a target for the other Marks, so it would only make sense that she's in danger and acts as an unrealized stake. Either way, we see that if Engstrom wasn't stopped, she would have been his next target, and it would have just fallen from there. Robert kind of cooked with this specific episode in particular and manages to cram a lot that just messes Mark up and again makes him more morally gray in my opinion, which is again the entire theme of this season. So I kind of really like what he did here, and especially with the fact that Conquest is immediately after, and that's where Mark has to grapple with the fact that killing is a solution that he can pick, which is definitely a morally gray thing, something that the Punisher would do. So he just kind of sets up everything else that Invincible builds off of. That's not me even talking about season 4 or the comics where he dives even further into being a morally gray character. If you've read the comics, you know what I'm talking about, and you kind of understand. But yeah, that's all I got on this. My recording is like 9 minutes long, but hopefully it doesn't end up that long. I don't know. I think it's gonna be shorter. Either way, hope you enjoyed. If you got to this point, you know, Loki could like smash like or subscribe, you know. It's not like I wanted or anything, you know. All right. Also, if you got to play the Marvel Tokon beta, let me know what you think, because I done played that, and Magic was kind of really fun to play. I'm really ass at fighting games. So, all right. GG's, bye.